welcome to The Pool is Abstract, where this episode we will be wrapping up Season 2 with our overall thoughts, opinions, and a little quiz. I'm Charlotte, and with me is the person that I always ask to take me home.
That's true.
Connor.
That's me. Hi.
Hello.
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 Hi.
It's over.
It is over. The whole show. Doctor Who's over. That's how it feels.
So, we've done a couple of these before, the season wrap-ups. This is the first time we've done the new one.
Yeah, this is our first time actually being live.
Yeah.
Concurrent with where we actually are.
Yeah. So, I guess first question is, what do you think overall?
Season 2?
Yeah.
I like Season 2. Okay? I'm obviously...
I'm getting conflicted opinions here. Doctor Who is over. I like Season 2.
Right. I guess this will be the natural unfolding arc of this podcast, of this episode. I'm obviously, being in the community, I follow a lot of pages, a lot of fan accounts, a lot of new stuff, whatever. And the general consensus, I've seen a lot of people really badly dogging on this series.
Yeah.
And people saying, oh, we've got to bring back Chibnall, and, I knew it was a mistake from the beginning for Russell to come back and all that stuff. And I'm like, you can have your things, do you know what I mean? Okay, if you don't like this as much as his first era, do you know what I mean? That's fair enough. But I think as a season, especially with the new Disney budget and obviously it being reduced to 8 episodes instead of the 13 from that first era, I think this is a really strong season. And I remember thinking, if they stuck the landing with the finale, this would go down as a very, very strong season for me.
I love how even then you're I thought you could be my favourite or my second favourite season, but you were this will go down as a very strong season.
No, honestly, if they stuck the landing, I would honestly say this is maybe top 5.
I was gonna say the same.
Maybe I'd never say my favourite, because Series 1 and Series 4 and 5 and 10 are very, very good. But I'd say maybe around the 5 spot, number 5, 6, around there somewhere.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I think this was a very strong season, and I would have comfortably put it around there. Finale wasn't what I was looking for.
No. Well,
but I think
interestingly, some of it was, but some of it wasn't. Yeah, I think for me, I think the first episode of the finale, I know we'll get into this more later.
Yeah.
But I think it was not what I was expecting, but stronger than I thought it would be.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I agree. I think it set up a lot of interesting questions.
It did. I wonder if you feel the same thing. I think this was well paced.
What, the whole season? Or?
Yeah. I felt last season it was, it felt very rushed at the end.
Even the beginning. I think even the beginning, because there was that thing, isn't it? Is it the Devil's Cord or Boom? I can't remember which one, but there's supposed to be a 6-month time gap or something.
It didn't feel that way.
Because the whole time the Doctor talks to and about Ruby as if she's his best friend.
Yeah.
And it's by the end of the season, you kind of expect those conversations to happen, but it was happening by episode 2 or 3, and it was just a little bit it feels a bit soon. Do you know what I mean? If the 10th Doctor was calling Martha his best friend in the Shakespeare Code, it would have been weird.
Do you know what I would have liked? If this season, if Belinda and Ruby were swapped round, if Belinda's season was the first season,
right,
and we kind of had snippets of Ruby, I know maybe she kind of knew Unit or whatever, but we didn't know what was quite about her.
Right.
And then that thing, obviously, at the end of this season, where she knows about Belinda and Poppy, and she's like, Poppy's, I know about Poppy even though she vanishes.
Right.
I think if you then went into Ruby being the companion, I think it would have even more question of yes, why is Ruby why is she kind of out of the norm? And then if you had then her season, obviously you'd have to tweak some things.
I'm very confused.
Basically, if you took Belinda and Ruby's seasons
Yes.
and just swapped them around, changing some things, but I think it would have been better to have Belinda's character, who's quite not shut off, but she likes the Doctor, but she's very much like, I want to go home. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not in this for the long run. And building some curiosity around Ruby throughout that season.
But how would you do that if she wasn't in it?
Well, you could have her in it. That's the thing. You could.
That's not just swapping these seasons around then, is it?
I know, but you'd have to make tweaks.
This is why I'm confused.
You'd have to make tweaks, but I think it would have caused the Doctor and Ruby to kind of have a bit of rapport when they meet. Or rapport, or whatever the hell you call it. I don't know. Rapport.
You know you're French.
Get in the bin.
Yeah.
It's really difficult to make it, like, to try and explain my statement when I'm looking over at you and you've got a completely, like,
glazed over eyes.
yeah, like, disassociated, goopy face.
I'm not disassociating. I'm trying to actually follow what you're saying.
So you're like, huh?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, because then it would feel towards the end of, if Ruby was in season 2, when she's talking about the Doctor being her friend, they would have known each other longer at that point than just a season. And
I feel like that might be overcomplicating this just a tad.
probably, but I think that
You could have just held off on the best friend remarks until like the end of season 1.
well,
I feel like that accomplishes the same thing.
yeah, but I think that was the issue with Ruby, is because of their the whole thing of the Doctor and Ruby's relationship is very warm and it's very friendly, whereas
Yeah.
Belinda's and the Doctor's relationship is not that. It's quite
Yeah,
it's
I know what you
quite
mean.
clinical.
Yeah.
And I think
He's her glorified Uber for
pretty
this season.
well. He's like her accidental kidnapper. Do you know what I mean? He's trying to get her home,
Yeah.
but
Just not very well.
just not very well.
I mean, what was it Capaldi that said you don't pilot the TARDIS, you reason with it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think overall, like I say, I don't want to go into specifics on the individual episodes because I'm sure we'll do that as we go through. But I think I was going to say until even then, I don't think there's a bad episode in this season. There are moments, particularly towards the end, that I'm not a fan of. However, I don't think there's one episode in this season that I would single out as saying, yes, this is a bad episode in its entirety.
I can say that's fair enough.
There's no fear her in here.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
What I quite like is it's very diverse.
Yeah, 100%.
There's a lot of different stories. It's a lot of different ways to tell different stories. We've had a lot of new writers in, so I felt
Yeah.
like it's been quite fresh.
Yeah, I also feel like this is one of the more creative seasons we've
I
had
completely
in terms
agree,
of like
yeah.
in terms of specific episodes having certain stories and the stories just not feeling like, other than I guess The Well, we didn't really have like a base under siege
No.
in here, which is pretty standard for Doctor
Yeah,
Who.
it is.
But even then, The Well is very different because it's not like
It's not like a usual one, no.
no, it's yeah, I say it plays more like the episode it's being a sequel to than it
Yeah.
does something like
And
I don't know 42 or something.
I know we've had a bit, but I think generally this season's been a lot lighter as well.
In tone
In tone, yeah. I think
than the last season.
yeah, I think you could argue this is more, other than The Well and parts of obviously
Do you know
Lucky
what?
Day.
I'm gonna disagree.
Really?
Yeah.
For
Again.
what?
Right. Space Babies,
Yeah.
Devil's Cord.
Yeah, but I think you forget about Devil's Cord.
It's still in there though.
I mean,
I'm just thinking of. I'm thinking there's
Shirley
always a
Ballet,
twist.
like doing a little
There's
dance
always a
at the
twist.
end.
Yeah.
But you also have the fact that Ruby's crying into the Doctor's arms because the whole of London's been turned to ash.
Yeah, but even then, even outside of
I know it doesn't
there's
really
always-
hit very hard, does it? But
even outside of there's always a twist like ending bit. I think Jinx, not Jinx, what's it, Maestro,
yeah,
as a villain is very camp.
yes,
So I didn't really take it that seriously. I didn't really feel stakes that much. Space Babies obviously is what it is. Boom was kind of, and 73 yards
I mean,
obviously kind of like
heavier,
brought it
yeah.
back a little bit, but then like Rogue is quite
light.
light, yeah. So I don't know. It's like
even you look at the finale of this season, it's a lot lighter than last season.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think generally it's
But I
more
don't
lighter
I don't
toned.
think as a whole series 2 is. I think they're probably about the same. I would say the finale of season 1 was darker.
Yeah.
But I don't know, again, like this season you had moments in Lucky Day, you had moments in The Story in the Engine, you had moments in the finale.
I mean, there's one thing you forgot as well about last season, which I'm going to put in there. I think this may change your mind. Dot and Bubble.
Yeah, again, Dot and Bubble only because of the finale, though, isn't
But
it?
that's what I mean. You look at those episodes and, like, you look at this season and it's very different. Like The Story in the Engine is generally quite light-hearted. It's the same with Interstellar Song Contest. That's very light-hearted as well. It's more what you would
but
say
again,
is
there's moments in
family-friendly.
there. It's like you say Dot and Bubble. Dot and Bubble's very light-hearted until that last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
When you could say the same, like Interstellar Song Contest is very light-hearted until you get that torture scene, which you seem to have forgotten about, based on your face. When he's got the electric glove on.
Oh, yes.
And he's torturing kids for fun.
Yeah, I wouldn't say... well, maybe.
So, I feel like there's a lot of, like... These are episodes that don't necessarily seem dark or heavy on the surface, but they have those moments. Again,
Yeah,
Lucky Day...
Of course, they always have the undertone of, like,
Yeah, so I don't think there's a massive difference in their tone between them, but I feel like this episode has had less duds.
Yeah.
Even then, season 1 I think was okay. I don't think season 1 had... I feel like Space Babies is the only episode in that season that I'm like, yeah. I know a lot of people were disappointed by Empire of Death. I get it in terms of like how Sutekh was kind of washed away.
Yeah. But we got the same thing here.
Yeah, but even then, outside of that, as an episode, I didn't actually mind Empire of Death. There was quite a lot I liked about it. So, there was only one episode last season that I thought to be a dud, and I don't think this season has one. So
That's a positive thing, though.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
I've enjoyed this era a lot.
I have as well. Speaking of era, should we get on to the Doctor?
Yes.
Obviously, spoilers, I'm sure you already know. Why would you be listening to this? But obviously, we know that Ncuti now, was his final season.
Yeah, he only did 2.
I'm so sad.
Yeah, me too, but I'm not angry or like bitter about it.
I am.
Right. Off the bat, Ncuti Gatwa has been great.
Yes.
He's been very good. He's definitely a contender for favourite Doctor.
Yes.
I think he's not my number 1, but he's top 5, I
Yeah.
feel.
I mean, are you on about
Just in the show in general. Yeah. I think he's great. I think he's shown a lot of range. One of my biggest complaints with season 1 was that even though he was really fun and great and lighthearted, he didn't have any moments really that showed that other side to him. And I understood that this version of the character was supposed to be the version who'd gone through therapy and had gone through his, through his Zen stage. So now he's
Yeah.
totally happy. He's accepting of who he is. He talks openly about being the last of his kind, and it's not this weight on his shoulders. I love that as a concept, and I like that he's more open and it gives him something different. But I was missing that darker element to the character, which I feel like this season did bring out.
And it's one of those things that no matter how much of a good person or like generally well-rounded you are,
Nobody's perfect.
but not just that, some people need to be told. Do you know what I mean? Some people need...
Told what?
Like, we saw the Doctor and how, not malicious, but the way he spoke to Conrad and tells him that he's going to die of a heart attack in a cell all below.
I love that.
But that's what I mean,
Because that was the first moment, really, wasn't it? Because we had a couple moments this series, like I say, like we literally just mentioned about the kind of torture scene,
Yeah.
And all that stuff. But I guess that moment with Conrad was no, I tell a lie. Do you know the first kind of hint at that darker side we saw was in Joy to the World, when he had to kind of berate Joy a little bit to make her feel bad. He's making fun of her name and her mother and all that stuff. That was the moment in the Christmas special where I was like, ooh, that was quite... Because he doesn't mean it.
Yeah.
He's just trying to get her emotions up. But that was a slight manipulative side to him that I was
Yeah.
like, that's really interesting.
I like that as well.
And then, yeah, you have that bit at the end of Lucky Day, which I loved. I thought that speech was great.
I agree. And it's one of those things, like I was saying, that it's needed. Do you mean there's only so many times you could be nice to somebody? They won't learn. Like,
Yeah.
Conrad needed to be told. And even then he didn't learn. But it's like, sometimes you need a more sterner approach. And maybe a more harsher approach to things.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that he hasn't progressed.
Things that I see it as, even though he's a lot more open now and he's a lot more lighthearted and he doesn't carry this burden or this weight, he places a lot of emphasis and importance on those he loves.
Yeah.
And I think if Conrad were a Dalek, he wouldn't have delivered that speech.
No,
Do you know what I
I
mean?
agree.
It's purely the fact that this was a man who went out of his way to manipulate and to make fun of his best friend.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what led there. And just as a side tangent as well, just because I mentioned the Daleks, Shooty never fought the Daleks.
I know. I wonder how Shooty actually feels about that.
I'm sure he's gutted about that.
Yeah. I
kind of like it, though, in the sense of it's kind of... I get if you were Doctor Who, you would want to fight the Daleks. I get that. That's kind of like a childhood, bucket list thing. But like, also, I feel like there's something special about being the only incarnation of the Doctor to have not fought the Daleks. I feel like that's quite a cool thing to be noteworthy about your version of the character, anyway.
Well, or the Cybermen either. It's quite.
Yeah.
It's quite.
To be honest, we didn't really have any returning villains other than the two big bads from the classic series with Sutek and Omega and the Brownie, I guess. But like, we didn't have any Cybermen, Daleks, Weeping Angels, Zygons, Silurians, and any of that stuff. It was all original stuff.
And I quite like that.
Unless you count the Midnight Entity, I guess.
But even then,
we don't know if that was the same entity. So it's like...
But I think it's quite interesting because I now feel like if at the end of the next season, the Daleks show up, I'd be like, oh, look, it's the Daleks.
Yeah, well, this is the thing.
I would be like,
ages.
oh my God, not again. I'd be like, oh, it's been a while.
This is what we've been saying for ages. And it's funny, it goes to show there's no pleasing Doctor Who fans.
No.
Because everyone was saying the same thing for ages in terms of give the Dalek a rest.
Yeah.
We don't need them every series. And I'm seeing people in the comments now being like, we need Daleks back. When's the Daleks coming back? And I'm like, you can't please some people.
No.
I have really liked the lack of Daleks. Because not only is there that thing, like you said, of when they come back eventually, it'll actually have some weight and some impact. But it's that thing of, you know what I mean? We've seen 2 seasons now without a Dalek, and that's 2 episodes that we've got to have something else.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you know what I mean? If we had a Dalek episode in season 2, we might not have had, The Well, or we might not have had Lux. And I'd rather have what we had than just get another Dalek episode in there.
I agree. I completely agree.
So, Shooty's been great. In
Yes.
terms of him having only 2 seasons, I'm with you in the sense of I'm gutted because I loved him in the role and I'd have liked to have seen more. My only complaint really is, even though he brought those darker elements in this series, which I liked, that one moment in the Interstellar Song Contest with the torture thing, I think that kind of set something up that never got paid off. Because the moment in like Lucky Day just felt like, this is who he is. This is how he talks to someone who he knows has manipulated and betrayed a friend of his.
Yeah.
With the whole torture sequence in Song Contest was very dark for the character. And he made this statement, didn't he, about you put ice in my heart and I don't think it's ever going to go away. It's been there forever. But now he's gone. So I guess you could argue, well, maybe it'll transfer over to the next incarnation or whatever. But I don't know, that...
It's not the same.
I felt like that was setting something up, which obviously
agree.
hasn't come to pass.
It's such a shame. And I know, look, things happen the way they happen. I would love if Shooty could come back. I don't think that would be the case, though. You never know. Like, what if there's a possibility that, because I know there's rumours, obviously, that Billie Piper isn't actually the Doctor, but there's a possibility that she may have a season and he may come back for one final season. We don't know. Nothing, let's be fair, it's Doctor Who. Nothing's off the cards.
Do me a favour.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about the future. It makes me sad.
Oh, I don't know why.
Because there's no outcome where I'm happy.
I don't think that's true.
It is. If the show's over, I'm very sad.
Yes.
Especially because if that's how it ends, I'll be livid. If we get a season with Billie Piper as the Doctor, I'll be very angry.
Why?
Because what's the point?
But what if she's not the Doctor? But we have.
Well, I don't want it. I don't want it either way. Whoever she is, if she's Rose, if she's the bad wolf entity, if she's the heart of the TARDIS manifest, I don't want it. I don't want it there.
I want it.
If it's a one-off special, if it's a Christmas special where the 16th Doctor, Billy Piper, meets the 14th Doctor, David Tennant, and they have a romp like it's 2006 again, I'm not going to be happy.
I mean, I don't want that.
There is nothing that can come of this where I'm going to be happy. All I can do is hope that it's over quickly and we can move on.
Nah, I think there's a lot of ways that I, in my brain, think that you could do this well and it'd be interesting, but you can't do it to Doctor. She can't be the Doctor, because if she is, then it's kind of like, oh, okay. Do you mean it's predictable? I want something to be completely off, like out of thin air, something that's out of nowhere but makes sense.
Here's the thing. I feel like I would be a lot more open to this if we hadn't already had the 14th Doctor.
I know.
If we hadn't had David Tennant return as the 14th Doctor and had Donna come back and had that whole nostalgia session for the 60th anniversary, if we went from Capaldi to Jodie to Ncuti and now this happened, I'd be more open to it.
It's just another.
But yeah,
bringing up the past, yeah.
Russell coming back, leaning on that. And initially, like, it was fun to see David and Catherine back and everything, but I'm glad it was only for like 3 episodes, and it felt like a fun little way of not only celebrating the 60th anniversary, but also a clear milestone of Russell T Davies is back. We're going to do this to basically, I don't know, maybe get the casuals on board again and be like, hey, the show's going to be like it was before again. Not necessarily because those actors were in it, but because obviously we've got the showrunner back and everything. Get people in, and then once they leave, kind of ease into this new series. It seemed like a good idea.
Yeah.
This seems like desperation.
I mean, in many ways, it is. It is desperation, and I'm not saying like because they had no other ideas. I think that there's I mean, you don't know, but there's a possibility that they were literally left with no other option. I'm not saying that they didn't want Billy, but the fact that this, by the sounds of it, this was very last minute, and they were kind of like, oh shit, we don't know what to do.
At this point, if I were Russell, and now again, we don't know the behind the scenes kind of story of this, so I'm making a lot of this up. But if I were Russell and I was show running, and then Ncuti told me relatively late on that he wanted to leave, to the degree where he didn't want to sign on for a 3rd series, and I had to rewrite the ending, and we had to do reshoots, I just wouldn't show who he turned into. I
would be the same as well.
I would just either have the regeneration effect go over the screen and just cut it there, or have the camera pull back and just see the TARDIS and like the regeneration energy fly off and just leave it there. And that way we can leave it a couple years and then come back and pick it up whenever, rather than just be like, oh no, we need to cram someone in, let me get Billy on the phone.
Do you know what would be really cool? If that had been the case, at the end it being like the Doctor's regenerating and then it cut to black and then it said next time, and it kind of showed a Christmas episode, but it was a Doctor Light episode.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
And then at the very end, the new Doctor shows up.
Yeah, I'd be way more down for that. That sounds a lot more interesting. To have like a, I'm going to say Love and Monsters, but not the Victor Kennedy stuff and
Blink.
the Absorbaloff, but yeah, I'm just thinking more like, what if you had a character like Elton? I mean, just an everyman, or like Sally Sparrow and Blink. You had like this every man, every woman kind of person dealing with something. The Doctor's not there, and then have this new. That would be, not only would that be more interesting, but I think that would be a really cool way of introducing a new Doctor.
I agree.
Imagine having a new version of the Doctor who's not introduced through a regeneration, but more like the way Christopher Eccleston was. Yeah. Where it's just like they just step into frame.
Yeah. And you could tease it. You could get like, throughout the episode, like a figure walks past, but you don't see the face.
Or you could even have it as like a twist. You could have a character in there who you think is like a minor character, and then just have a reveal that they're actually the Doctor.
That's something I think that would be so interesting, and it's something as well everybody would watch, or most people would watch on Christmas Day. It'd be a way to kind of, get people talking about it, and then you could go into the new year then with the new Doctor. It would also give you time within that period. Obviously, you wouldn't have to do much shooting with them because they would only be in parts of it. Yeah. Maybe the end. And it would give you time.
It'd be quite easy to avoid spoilers, wouldn't it? Because like
Exactly.
they kind of had to announce that David Tennant and Catherine Tate were coming back because people would have noticed.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you know what I mean? It would have been quite easy to keep under wraps. But yeah, that would have been a lot more interesting. I just feel like we need to change subject here, just because we're talking about we're talking less about season 2 and more about where we would send the direction of the show at this point.
But yes, but as we said, as Ncuti's Doctor, back to that. Overall,
I think he's
positive.
great. Yeah. I'm sad that he went as soon as he did because I'd have liked to have more of him. But at the same time, he has that same thing for me that Christopher Eccleston does now, which is I'm sad that we didn't get more of him, but I feel like how short his journey was is what makes it that much more sweet. And I feel like the way I can't remember if it was you I was talking to, or if it was someone else, but I kind of said, you know how an episode like The Long Game is not, a winner by any means. It's not bad, but it's very meh. But because it's one of Eccleston's 13 episodes, you never skip it.
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like one of those things that's like, you've only got so much time with him, so you relish what you have. And I feel like that with Ncuti. I'm never going to skip Space Babies, do you know what I mean?
See, the issue I have, and my big thing, I know we kind of brushed upon this on the last episode we did, is the fact that I feel that we didn't get the end. We didn't get the end of his story. I feel like, as you said, there was things that they were trying to set up.
Yeah.
There was Rogue. There was is it Susan.
Yes.
Obviously, it was we were starting to see a little bit darker side of Ncuti's Doctor, where he's kind of choosing things which are maybe a bit morally grey. But I like that, and I wanted to see. I would one more season. I feel like would have been. I could have had that, and we could have got to know his character better. That's why I'm a little bit gutted, because I mean, even if that wasn't the case, I love Ncuti's Doctor anyway, and I want more, whichever way. But I feel like because his story feels cut short, that's why I'm a little not bitter, but disappointed. I think.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
And I understand, obviously, again, it's kind of last minute that they did this. So, do you mean, I'm sure Russell was writing stuff ready for series 3 and he had plans.
Because I'm pretty sure he has on record said that he'd already written series 3.
Yeah, so I'm assuming he had plans for this Doctor and he was setting stuff up for that.
Yeah.
But it really does feel like it's just come out of nowhere.
God damn it, Ncuti.
I understand you want to get on with your life, and I know you've got so much projects to carry on with, but come back.
Yeah, like, no, I understand, I do. And like I say, I agree with certain things. I agree with, like I say, they were setting stuff up with his kind of darker moments. I feel like it was, it was foreshadowing something to come that obviously hasn't come now. Even if they pay it off in the next version of the Doctor, it's not going to feel like a payoff.
Not going to be the same, is it?
No, because it's a different version. It's not something like River Song, do you know what I mean? Which is
a constant.
Which is separate to whichever incarnation of the Doctor she's interacting with. It would be like if, I don't know. It would be if like the when the 10th Doctor went into his Time Lord Victorious thing, but that didn't pay off until Capaldi. Do you know what I mean? It would be weird. It's like because that you associate that with that incarnation.
Character, yeah.
So yeah, that feels a bit cut short. But looking at his era as a whole, series 1, series 2, season 1, season 2. I think I cherish the episodes we've got.
I agree.
And yeah, I will, even the ones that aren't the best or the ones I didn't love as much, I will enjoy them quite a lot because they're some of the short time we had with him.
Yeah. Speaking of short time, should we speak about Belinda? Because I'm assuming that she's not going to be coming back next season because she's obviously at the end we leave her with Poppy.
Yes.
And she's made it pretty clear, unless she said in future when Poppy grows up, she might rejoin. I assume for now we're not really going to get anything. What do you think about Belinda's character and her relationship with the Doctor?
It's interesting. I like Belinda a lot as a companion. However, I do think that she showed a lot of promise in the beginning that wasn't necessarily followed up with.
Yeah.
I think it was really in the beginning. I know we kind of knew this was going to happen because the whole premise of the season is getting her home. So in the beginning, she's very much like, I don't care what you're doing, Doctor. I don't want to have fun on your adventures. I want you to take me home. And then she slowly starts to enjoy a little bit. She gets to wear the costume and do all that stuff. And then by the end, they're friends. And we kind of knew that she was going to complain less as it went on. We expected that. But I think her kind of snarky, like when the Doctor says, time you eye me, and she's like, am I 6?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like a lot of those fun little kind of cheeky bantery moments kind of disappeared.
Yeah, I agree. I said this before, but I feel like her character felt quite fresh.
Yes.
I know we kind of had like Amy and Clara a little bit, and Donna, obviously, who kind of set the Doctors in their place a little bit. Not talked down to, but, give it to them straight. They're blunt about things.
Yeah.
And I quite like that because it's been a little while. Do you mean we didn't really get that with Jodie's era?
Yeah.
And we didn't have
Jodie's companions felt like they were there purely to ask questions.
But like this, and I love Bill, but we didn't get that with Bill either. Nardole we did a little bit.
Yeah.
But again, we didn't get that with Ruby.
No.
So it was nice. It was refreshing to kind of have a character who would kind of keep the Doctor in check.
Yeah,
and
she
say
didn't.
bluntly.
She wasn't in awe of him.
No, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, because companions are always kind of like swept off their feet with him, aren't they? Even if it's not in a romantic way, it's always like, wow, he's amazing. With Belinda, was like, I honestly couldn't care. Just get me home. And but it's funny though, because even though I did say a couple times the fact that she had to recap that at the beginning of every episode, I found quite
annoying. But
not even annoying, just like, I don't know, I felt like I was being kind of talked down to a little, as if I couldn't remember that. But I never found that her wanting to get home was her only character trait. It would have been very easy to feel like her entire character is, come on, Doctor, get me home. And I don't think that's the case. The problem, I think, is that I feel like her development stopped after the well. And thinking about it, I think it's because obviously Lucky Day, she's only in it for 2 minutes in that beginning section. And then in the story in the engine, she's barely in it because she's on her own in the TARDIS. And then when she is in the barbershop with them, she's just kind of watching. Interstellar Song Contest, her and the Doctor, she's in it a lot, but her and the Doctor are separated. And obviously in Wish World, they're not really themselves.
No.
And then in Reality War, they're separated again for most of it. And she's just kind of resigned to holding Poppy's hand the entire time. So I feel like her interactions with the Doctor kind of just stop after the well.
Yeah, and I know this. I'm kind of sad at the fact that retrospectively the whole reason she wanted to go home was for a child.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, because do you mean that's more than fair? People would be, people like that in life. They're like, I want to go home.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to go home. But I don't know. I kind of like the idea of her just being like, well, I don't care about this stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like her character...
Because it was kind of switched towards the end, wasn't it? To be like, I would do this if it wasn't so dangerous for my child.
Yeah, but it didn't feel like that originally.
Yeah, in the beginning, it was like, I don't prioritize this.
No.
I don't see this as something desirable.
I liked how because a lot of our companions generally have a romanticized view on these things.
Yes.
I like how she was it was very straightforward.
Especially as obviously we currently just finished series 2.
Yeah.
And that's very much how Rose sees it.
Yeah.
Rose very much is like, she says to her mum, doesn't she? She's like, the things I've seen, the places I've gone to, the people we save and all that stuff.
But this is what I know. I compare her to Martha, but obviously them both being what's it called, like in the medical industry.
Yeah.
I quite like Belinda character a bit more because I feel like that comes to play a little bit more. I feel like Martha, you kind of forget that she's a doctor because she doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, there are moments like in Daleks in Manhattan where she kind of tends to. It's similar to that moment in the Robot Revolution.
Yeah, but I feel like Belinda does that more. Like it's like she switches on like work mode. Do you know what I mean? Like like in the well, she does the same thing, where she automatically goes to Alice and is like, I can see you're injured. What you need, we'll look after you.
Yeah.
she kind of switches that on, and it's like an automatic thing. She's not like, oh, where am I? And kind of like, what's the doctor doing?
Yeah, I think
she's
Martha,
aware of her surroundings.
Martha does do a lot of medical stuff. Like there's moments in like the Doctor's daughter, I think, where she helps that Hath who's got like a broken arm and stuff. But I know what you mean, because it feels more like, hey, I'm a person who knows what to do in this situation, where Belinda feels more like, yeah, she subconsciously just enters work mode and she forgets she's on an alien planet. She just kind of goes into her routine and she knows the procedure to follow.
And that's what...
And she's smart as well, because she asks the question. She's like, is this anatomy the same as a human? And she double checks these things before relocating this man's shoulder blades.
Yeah.
And, she's switched on and she's smart. And yeah, I just wish we had a bit more interaction between her and the Doctor, because I feel like it was setting up a lot of promise, and then it kind of just stopped after a while.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like Belinda. I was in the beginning of the series, I was saying I like her a lot more than Ruby. I don't know now though, and that's not. I will say though, that's not because I like Belinda less.
It's because
Ruby's grown more and had more development throughout Lucky Day and the finale. I don't know anymore.
I like Ruby. I agree. It's so difficult. I think I like Ruby more. And
she's more nuanced, I think, which is something I wouldn't have said at the beginning of this series, but I feel like is the case now.
Yeah, and like I said, I feel like I like the idea of Belinda kind of being not immune, but like just unaffected by these things.
Yeah.
But the fact that, I don't know, it wasn't that she didn't give a damn where she was and she just wanted to go home. It was like, oh, I've got to go home for my child. And I feel like it makes her a little bit more one-dimensional, maybe. Yeah,
because that's the kind of reaction you'd expect a parent to have.
Yeah.
It's not, that's no longer a quirk of her character.
No.
That's just made her normal.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, of course she would be desperate to go home for her child.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So
what I do like though, just speaking about like Ruby and the development she had in this, I think it was a really cool decision to have her not continue with the Doctor,
but
have her as a recurring character anyway.
I agree.
It's kind of similar to, like, obviously we know Martha left the TARDIS in series 3, and then she showed up in series 4 in the Sontaran stratagem.
Yeah,
and that stuff. But obviously that was slightly different, because in that one it's her calling the Doctor, where in this one we just decided to have a Doctor-like episode with a companion. Do you know what I mean? That would be like
I really like that.
That would be like if in series 4, instead of having Martha call instead of having Martha call the Doctor back to Earth, we just had a random Doctor-like episode with Martha as the protagonist.
Yeah.
And I think that's a cool idea. Like, why is it taking us so long to do that?
I agree. I really like that. It's sad it didn't go well. It was a good idea, but it wasn't quite paid off of how I would have liked it to be. Lucky Day, but I really like that idea, and I really love getting the chance to see more of Ruby's character. And like I've said before, see how now she's left the Doctor, or at least his companion, travelling. It's nice to see how her character's changed, and she's changing as a person afterwards. I hope we get to see more in future, because obviously the Doctor didn't say goodbye to her. So I'm assuming in the next season, the Doctor's going to go, well, if the Doctor is in the next season, I'm assuming they're going to go to see Ruby.
Don't know. Because
we can't just leave it there and just have, that's it. Do you mean all Ruby's aware of is that the Doctor's gone off to save Poppy.
It's like Yaz,
and then never turns up.
It's like Yaz.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It very well could just be that.
I would be very sad though.
Yeah, but what I think was really clever, like say, not just having that one. It was really cool and refreshing and different to have that one Doctor-like episode, but instead of just having it be like Blink, where it's a new character, have it focus on a previous companion. I think that's cool and that's interesting.
I agree.
But having the events of that story pay off into the finale. So the finale is obviously a story where the Doctor's there, but it doesn't just feel like a random side tangent in the way like that something like Blink could. It would be like if
relevant.
It would be like if Sally and Larry from Blink showed up in like, Last of the Time Lords or something. Obviously they have no business in that story, but it's like, do you know what I mean? It doesn't just feel like a random side tangent or a detour. It actually still feels like it works into the main narrative, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
So in terms of its structure, I like this season a lot.
Yeah, I agree. Do you want to get into a quiz?
I'm so scared.
So I've tried to be quite... I've been a bit of mixture. I've put some difficult ones in this.
Okay.
And I've put some easy ones in this.
Okay. Yeah, I will just say, obviously, I have technically seen these twice.
Yes.
Because we watched them live when they came out, and then I watched them again whilst making notes for when we covered it. But obviously, I've not seen these anywhere near as much as I've seen Series 1 and Series 2.
Oh, God, yeah. No.
So I am not expecting to do very well here.
But we'll see. Do you want to take notes of what you do?
Yeah, let me get a tally up.
So this time, we usually have 20 questions. This time we've got 18. I've done, usually I do 2 questions per story, but as we only have 8 episodes, plus the Christmas special, which I'm including.
Yes.
And we'll be including in our ranking when we do that as well. So yeah, we have 18.
Yeah, and play along at home.
Yeah,
let us know your score.
Yes, so are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll start off with Joy to the World.
Yes.
So, what was the hotel called that the Doctor works with Anita at?
That was the Sandringham Motel?
Yes, it was.
Yes. Cool.
Cool.
Cool, dude.
Cool.
Yeah.
At the Time Hotel, a
Yes.
security guard who, after giving the briefcase, was killed.
Oh, yeah. We liked him.
We liked him.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Oh, no. We liked him, didn't we?
We did. He tried to help the Doctor.
Oh, yeah. Guy with the frizzy hair.
Yes.
Oh, man.
I know you're going to kick yourself.
We
at
only
this.
watched this once, didn't we?
No, well, I didn't. I watched it more than once.
Oh, yeah, because you watched it kind of half on Christmas Day, didn't you?
Yeah.
I think I only watched it. Did we watch it together?
Yeah.
Did we?
Yeah, we watched it together. I think you watched it.
I must have seen this twice then.
I think you watched it with your parents.
I did. I watched it with my parents. Okay, so I must have seen it twice.
Yeah.
Oh, what's his name? It's short, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like 4 letters or something like
Yeah.
that. Oh my god, that's so annoying.
I'm going to have to rush.
Trev?
Trev. I want a full name.
Wait, his first name is Trev.
His first name is Trev.
Oh, I wouldn't have guessed a surname. I don't know.
I'll give you a half a point for getting Trev.
Okay.
Surname is Simpkins.
Do they ever specify that in the episode?
I think so, yeah.
I don't think they do.
I think...
Where did you get that? Did you get that off the TARDIS wiki?
No.
Where'd you get... Is it in the credits?
I don't know. I got it in the episode. I think I got it in the subtitles.
Okay, I mean, if it's in the episode, then fair enough. But I never would have got that.
I usually, when I get my when I do my quiz, I'm either like doing it after work on the bus, or I'm laying next to Connor, and I've got the episode on, but I got subtitles. So I'm trying to, and that's how I learn some fun facts.
Yeah, I never would have got Simpkins, but I'm glad I managed to record Trev.
I'm impressed. Okay, Robot Revolution.
Yes.
What does Belinda ask Mrs. Flood to tell Lucy at number 7?
Oh God. It's something about her being kidnapped, right? Is it like tell my parents I've been kidnapped by robots or something like that? Oh wait, is this about the cat? Is this about the cat?
I'm not saying anything.
Because the robots kill their cat, don't they? Is it like tell the neighbours like the cat went to live on a farm or something like that?
Yeah, it is. That is so sad. It's
Yeah.
Tell Lucy at number 7 her cat's gone to live on a farm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You'll get this next question.
Yeah. And she says, "Tell my parents I've been kidnapped by robots."
By
yeah,
robots.
that's right. Yeah.
I love how unhinged Mrs. Flood is. My God. Okay. You should know this answer.
Okay.
The first patient Belinda treats is suffering with what injury?
He's got a dislocated shoulder.
He has, yes.
Yeah.
I know, you said it earlier and I was like, damn it. Okay. Lux. What is the female character called in Mr. Ring-a-Ding Goes to Town?
Oh, that's Sunshine Sally?
Yes, it is. Oh my
Yes.
God, what is wrong with you? Well, it gets harder, all right?
Yeah.
So. Okay.
Okay.
What are the name of the Doctor Who fans?
You want all 3?
All 3.
Shit. Lizzie? Hassan. And what's the one in the wheelchair called? Oh no, I feel so bad now. I got 2. Okay.
I'm not going to give you half a point. You're doing well. I want all 3.
What's her name?
They're together. They're friends. They need to be
like
together.
Lucy, something like that.
No. I'll give you one more guess.
I feel like it's something kind of short like that. It's not.
You're going to kick yourself when I tell you. Oh, my leg.
I could just hear you manhandling the mic. And just
for reference, I'm cuddled
You're
up.
adjusting.
I am. I was cuddled up in a ball. I'm now stretched out.
Yeah. What's her name? Her name, Lizzie, Hassan, and I keep thinking Ruby, but I'm like, there's no way her name's Ruby. It's.
Go on, guess.
That's why I guess Lucy, because it's kind of close, but not like. I don't know. Or is it?
Robin. See, that would have been the one I'd remembered.
Would it?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think I would have got that. So that's nil point for me, is it?
Nil point. Yeah, you're doing too well. I'm not going to be benevolent.
I remembered Hassan. I'm giving myself credit for that, even if I'm not giving myself a point.
That's fair. You do that. Okay. In the well.
Yeah.
What is the name of Diamond? Or what name do they give Diamond? It's the digging.
Oh no!
Diggering and pokering around in the planet for what?
Carbon 47, 46.
I don't want to give that to you.
One of the numbers. Carbon 46.
Damn, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I shouldn't. I was going to be like, I've taken that answer. Okay. Where is Shia from?
Oh. I'm not going to lie, if you asked me what her name was, I probably wouldn't have been able to tell you.
She mentions it a couple of times.
Yeah, I know she does. Pa? Does it begin with a P?
I'm on about like the place she lives.
The planet?
The place.
What do you mean the place?
Like the place on a planet that she lives.
Sorry. Right.
She said that she ran from this multiple times.
Oh.
She's like, I'm from the.
Oh.
And the doctor's like, yes.
She does definitely mention a planet
Yeah.
at one point. That's what I was thinking of. I probably would have had a better chance of getting the planet.
Yeah, because she's the doctor mentions that her people or her planet are like kind of linked with Earth. And she's like, what?
So she ran from, it was there. It was there. And now it's not. Oh, I hate it when that happens.
I'm going to have to rush you.
I know. She ran from the academy.
Academy.
No, it's because she was raised as like a soldier or something, and she ran from the mines. She woke the Balrog. Oh my
Come
god,
on.
this is weird.
Give me your answer.
I can't remember the words. The words, Charlotte.
God, I'm having a breakdown over there.
She ran from the. I don't know. Tell me.
The wildlands. She ran from the wildlands.
Yeah, I should have remembered that.
Okay, this first. Well, I'll give you the first question. This one's quite hard, actually.
Okay. You retrospectively decided, you know what, there's no way you're getting this.
This is brutal, but if
Right.
you don't get it, then you've got a fact.
Okay.
What is the pub that Ruby meets Conrad's friends in
Conrad?
called? Conrad's.
Oh, shit. I don't know. Isn't the pub owned by, like, Sparky?
No.
No? It's not owned by him?
No.
Because Sparky's the electrician that's one of Conrad's friends, isn't he?
Yes.
I thought there was, like, a throwaway line about him, like, owning it, or his dad owns it or something like that.
No. They do have a throwaway line about how Conrad met him, but that'll be in the next question.
What, met Sparky?
Yeah.
All right, okay. The pub name, Jesus, no idea. The Red Cock.
No, it's a typical name, not the Red Cock.
The Queen's Head.
No, it's the Jolly Sailor.
Never would have got that. Not in a million years.
Okay, so this was a two-parter. You got one part. Conrad's friend, the one who goes missing,
Sparky.
is called what?
Sparky.
He has a business.
Sparky.
Which is...
Sparky's Electrics.
Yes. And what was he doing when he first met Conrad?
Oh.
I'll give you half a point for getting Sparky and his electrics.
What was he doing when he met Conrad?
Yeah.
I do vaguely remember a conversation, like Conrad's talking to Ruby, isn't he? And he kind of mentions this in passing.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not there, though. It's not giving me the little tingle at the front of the brain.
No.
Sparky was... I don't know. Oh. I can't even remember what the pub was called.
I'll give you... Do you want me to give
The
you a
Jolly
tiny
Sailor?
clue?
Was that what it was called?
It is, yes. Do you want me to give you a tiny clue?
Yeah, go on.
I put this all in one question for a reason. What he was doing is linked to what?
He was being an electrician.
He was being an electrician, yes. Doing what?
I don't know, pat testing.
No, I'm taking that as your answer. He was rewiring his kitchen.
His own kitchen?
No,
Or Conrad's kitchen?
Conrad's kitchen. He was rewiring the kitchen.
When he met him?
Well, yeah. He met him obviously on the job. He called him round to rewire a kitchen and he was like, oh.
I need you to do an EICR report, please.
Saying that, though, we don't know whether this is true. It's all a lie, so maybe he wasn't.
That's true, yeah. That's a good point.
But maybe it was. Maybe he brought him round to rewire the kitchen and then he was like, you know what? Women suck. And he was like, yeah.
Okay.
Let's take down unit.
What question number was that? I just want to make sure I'm tracking my
10.
That was 10. Okay. That's
I
right.
was 10.
I didn't get that.
Okay. Story in the engine.
Yep.
There were 3 men in the barber shop.
Oh, don't ask me their names.
No. They all were getting haircuts.
Yes.
What were the reasons they were getting their haircuts?
Ooh, okay. I might know this. Okay.
I thought you might. This is generally...
Right.
I want it to,
So
I want it
we're
specific, though.
we're not including Omo because it is his shop.
Yeah.
So the young guy was he was obviously an athlete. So he was, I can't remember, was it a run or an event, some kind of sporting event the next day or something.
Can you give me a little bit more?
Track, 100 meters. What are you looking for?
So
Like what the event is?
possibly, or what he was doing. Like he was he was going for something. Specifically in his, like he wasn't just racing. He was going for something.
He was going for like a record, wasn't he? He was trying to beat like a world record or something.
Not a world record.
A personal best?
He was trying to get into something.
Was he?
Yes.
Trying to get into something.
Yeah.
A furry outfit. No. Was he trying to get into... Was he trying to get into a team or something?
No. Okay, we'll go into the next one.
Right. So there's the one guy who his mum was in hospital.
Yes.
And he was going to meet his mum and he wanted a fresh trim before that. I'm just trying to picture the other guy before I can even remember. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really struggling to picture the third guy. Yeah, the one guy was seeing his mum, the other guy was an athlete, and the other one... My God. I should know this, because I wrote these all down. I wrote them down in my notes when we covered the episode, so I did take note of this. Was it like meeting a girl or something?
No.
No?
Did you give up?
Yeah, go on.
So the youngest was in a relay race for the championship. I was looking for championship.
Oh, I feel like that's silly. Go on. Fine. Yeah, go on.
The other is visiting his mum in hospital.
Yeah.
And the final one is getting his hair trimmed ready for his child's naming ceremony.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't have got that, but yeah, that rings a bell now. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
The next question is a little bit easier.
That's good, because I'm 4 in a row I've not got right now. So I need something to boost my ego.
What is the name of Abby's dad? Or Abner?
Abner's father is Anansi.
Yes,
Yes.
Nancy.
I had to think, because they named dropped a couple gods. I was like, which one was he again? Because Anansi's like a spider god, I think.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, ooh.
No,
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah, it does, yeah.
Being a giant spider.
Yeah.
Okay, Interstellar Song Contest.
I watched that one.
You did. So did I. First question.
Yeah.
Who is Dugadoo representing?
Oh, fuck.
Dugadoo, Dugadoo, Dugadoo,
La, 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 la. You're welcome for the earworm, guys.
Sorry.
Dugadoo represents the it's going to be something stupid, like the planet of Duggar or something like that. It's going to be something dumb like that.
The planet of
the Isle of Duggar from the nation of Do. It's going to be something stupid like that.
I wish it was. It's not. You know this.
Oh, Grimbold.
Grimbold.
Where
yes.
did Grimbold come from? That jumped into my brain.
I asked you this before. I was like, who's Dugadoo representing? This wasn't on the pod. I just asked you in general. I asked you to look for me. Anyway, Grimbold.
I don't know where that came from. Grimbold sounds like a biscuit. But yeah, I don't know where that came from. That just jumped into my brain. So thanks, brain.
Okay. I want you to be specific here.
Okay.
What flower is the corporation harvesting to make what flavouring?
Oh, it was... Oh, shit. It was like honey. It was like poppy honey or honey poppy, something like that.
I want a specific.
So what was the flower called?
So what was the flower called?
It was poppy something.
And what was the flavouring?
The flavouring?
Yes. They were basically harvesting the flower to make a flavouring.
I thought honey was the flavouring.
Honey is the flavouring, yes.
Yeah.
What are the flowers?
Oh, so the flower's not called like honey poppy?
No.
Poppy... I just read, do you think that was supposed to be linked to Poppy the child?
Maybe.
I literally just thought that. I was like... Because she was in the story in the engine, wasn't she?
It might be, yeah.
Maybe.
I wonder if there's one all the way through.
That would be weird. If there was a reference to some sort of Poppy in everyone and no one noticed, I mean, that'd be wild.
Maybe we need to look into it.
What was the flower called? It was called the... Hell poppies?
It was, yes, a hell poppy.
Yes.
Go on, bub.
Yeah.
Okay. This one's hard. I'm sorry.
Brilliant. Thank you.
I had to put it in. These two are hard.
Okay.
Okay. Wish World. What meat does the Rani go to Italy to get for Conrad?
Oh, Jesus. Some kind of like chicken, isn't it? It's like, I can't remember what she calls it. I'm never going to get it.
It's not chicken.
Whatever it is, I'm never going to get it. Something Italian.
She's something Italian. She said it's like something like gooey pink flesh or something. I think that's what she calls it. But it's a mortadella.
Yeah, I never would have got that.
Mortadella.
No chance.
This one might be really, really rough.
Mortadella.
This might be worse than the mortadella one.
Thank you.
This is
ahead of time. Thank you.
This is fucking brutal. However, it's a really interesting fact and something I think you will be interested in.
Okay.
Okay. Who is the book Doctor and the Deadly Wish written by?
I Am Foreman.
You know that.
I know that.
What the fuck? You didn't know Mortadella, but you know who the book was written by.
I zoomed in because it had the...
He's a monk. He's a Gallifreyan monk. Oh, because I saw it and I was like, who is this? And then I Googled it and it was like, Gallifreyan monk. And I was like, well.
Foreman was Susan's last name. She was Susan Foreman.
Oh, was she?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And in An Unearthly Child, the first episode, I'm pretty sure Foreman is one of the names written on the door of the junkyard the TARDIS is parked in.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Right. Reality War. We're getting to your last 2 questions here. Okay. What is the teleportation device called that Ruby uses to get to Conrad?
That's Project Indigo.
I'll give it to you. It's the Indigo device, yeah.
Yeah.
And what is the name of Poppy's dad?
Ooh. Something kind of like... Is it something kind of like Hispanic kind of sounding?
No.
No? I feel like there's 2 names that were name dropped. One of... Oh, no. It's Anita's guy who's got like a Hispanic sounding name.
Yeah.
I can't remember. So Belinda's the other one. His name is... I wrote this down as well.
Yeah, you did.
His name is Ricky.
Ricky. Ricky Smith.
Oh, God, what's his name? Oh, the temptation to cheat and look at my notes.
Bad.
His name is... Help!
Put your phone down,
I'm literally looking...
little cheater. Put your phone down.
That's my tally.
I'm going to rush you. Yeah, well, you don't need to put any tallies down. You ain't getting a point.
Yeah, all right. His name is... Shit, I don't know. I just keep thinking Ricky. I don't know why.
Did you give up?
Yeah.
You're going to kill yourself.
Kill myself?
Yeah.
Christ.
It's Richie.
Oh, I was so close. I was so close.
You were so close.
Ah, that's so annoying.
Hence why I think that you'll probably take it quite badly, because
Yeah.
it was so close. I was like, for a moment, when you said Rick, I was like, oh my God, he's got it. And it was like, Ricky. Oh.
Okay, so of a possible 18, I had 10.5 points.
That's all right. That's pretty good. You don't know this season very well.
Yeah, that's true.
And I was harsh on a lot of these questions.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie, Jal.
Some of these were
I'm
brutal.
not going to lie. The name of the pub...
Yeah. It's never mentioned.
Yeah, I know.
It's shown. It's never mentioned.
That is so harsh.
Look, there's questions in these for all people.
That's true.
You can find, if you Google, what is the pub called?
Yeah.
It will tell you. So there's people out there who've taken note. So
yeah, that's true.
you've got some easy ones and some hard ones.
Yeah, well, for everyone listening, let us know how you did.
Yeah.
Pop it down in the comments. I want to know. Are you all as bad at this as me?
You're doing great.
Yeah.
I'm impressed that you got hell poppies.
It was one of the things. It was there on my tongue. Also, because the planet's called Helia.
Yeah.
But I kind of forgot that in the moment. I remember it being a honey.
Yeah.
I remember it being like honey.
being poppies, and I remember it being a honey flavouring.
Yeah.
I didn't realise they were called hell poppies. Like,
Yeah.
they were just
To be honest, I
poppies.
couldn't remember that. I kind of just put 2 and 2 together.
Fair.
Because I remember the planet was called Helia. They were Hellions. So, yeah.
Yeah. I quite like doing this because I like scrubbing through the episodes and kind of trying to find little random
things to add to the wiki.
Yeah, like little random niche things that, again, like now we know the pub's called the Jolly Sailor.
Not the Red Cock.
Not the Red Cock. Yeah, no, it's not. Well, maybe one will be in the future.
Yeah.
Right, shall we move on to our episode rankings?
Yes, go on.
Shall we? So there's 9 altogether because we're classing the Christmas episode as
We're
well.
including the Christmas special, Joy to the World, and we're separating the 2-part finale into individual episodes.
Yes.
Which, thank God.
Yeah. So I've put it 3, 3, and 3 as best, mid, and worst.
Yeah, so the top 3 episodes, the middle 3, and then the bottom 3. And we're going to do this how we usually do it, I assume, with my top 3, then your top 3,
Yeah.
my middle 3, your middle 3,
And then,
and so on, so on.
would you like to say your top 3?
Sure. So, number 1, my favourite of this season, The Story in the Engine.
Ooh.
Number 2, The Well. And number 3, Lux.
Oh. Okay, mine's kind of different.
Cool, go on.
I mean, hate to be the most predictable human of all time, but my favourite was Joy to the World. It's a Christmas episode written by Stephen Moffat. I mean, like, it's me. Come on.
Okay.
If you didn't guess that, then who are you?
Yeah, okay.
You haven't been listening. I genuinely love that episode, but we'll get on to that.
I'm surprised by how many people don't like it.
I not only love it, I would put into I adore that episode. So much so, I'm really looking forward to watching it again this Christmas.
Good.
Don't pull that face.
I didn't pull a face.
Don't pull that face of judgment.
I'm not judging. I like
You're like,
I like
good
the
for
story.
you.
Hey, Charlotte, if I have the choice of having to watch that with you or watch The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe, I'm taking Joy to the World and running
leave
with it.
Doctor and the Widow of the Wardrobe alone. But yeah, I love that episode. I think it's fun and light-hearted and interesting and warm, and we get to see so much of the Doctor, and the fact that it ties into the finale as well. Just
Yes.
even if it's in the worst
It's lovely.
way.
It's lovely, though. I think, yeah.
I think it's a proper Christmas.
Joy is a good one-off companion. I know a lot of people didn't like the whole Bethlehem, like, starseed thing. I liked it.
What's so... I mean, I'm sorry. Look, whether you...
Some people saw it as predictable. I think some people were like, it's just a bit, like, daring, isn't it? Not, and maybe not necessarily in a good way. To be like, hey, the stars that guided the 3 wise men to Bethlehem was...
Joy.
Not that it was specifically Nicola Coughlan, but it's just the Doctor made that happen.
I guess it is...
But at the same time, the Doctor's made everything happen.
Yeah.
The Doctor's responsible for, like, the pyramids being built, and he's responsible for the Great Fire of London and everything else. You kind of just take that and run with it. Yeah, I like the ending. I think Murray's got some great music in it. I think the Doctor's relationship with Anita and the whole hotel bit is great.
I love that.
Yeah. No,
I
that's fair.
think there's... From what I can remember, there's very few things of that episode that I didn't like.
Yeah, that's
and I
fair.
think overall, I know it's been a while since I've watched it, but overall, I still have really positive opinions, and I just want to watch it again.
Yeah, that's fair. So what's your number 2?
My number 2, I've put it down, and I don't know whether I agree with it.
Okay.
Do I agree with it? It's so difficult because this season is generally it's quite strong.
Yeah.
So moving things around, I agree with the worst 3.
So you're rewriting your list as you're supposed to be saying it.
I agree with the worst 3. The mid and the best is where I struggle. I put my number 2 as Wish World.
Oh. Okay.
I liked Wish World quite a lot.
That's interesting. Okay. And what's your number 3?
Story in the Engine.
Okay. Right. Well, let's talk about the story in the engine, since that's... Yeah, we both have it in our top 3. What a cool story, man.
I think it's brilliant. It's so new, so something different.
It's so fresh for the show to dive into Lagos and like Nigerian culture and just more of a kind of like African vibe. I think is just different anyway in terms of its aesthetics, and obviously having a Doctor like Ncuti be able to wear clothes like that. Do you know what I mean it wouldn't be the same if that was Matt Smith? Do you know what I mean?
No, it wouldn't.
So yeah, I don't know. There's something kind of special about it. I felt like I was allowed to peer into someone else living their home life, and it was kind of cool.
And I like the fact that we got to see, because we've had gods. Obviously, we've had like the gods of the pantheon. We've had other gods in the past, but
Yeah.
it's quite nice to have like a different belief come in and learn about that.
Yeah, because
belief
the
of gods as
gods,
well.
like the gods of the pantheon, are implied and, well, explicitly shown to be like all powerful. Do you know what I mean? They can create new worlds. They can manifest things into being. Where the gods here, I guess you could argue that technically they're not gods, but they're much more human. They feel like, you know, like the Greek gods, like your
Yeah.
Zeus and your Hades, where like they are powerful, but they're not like the Christian God that is all benevolent, all knowing, and you have to pray to him. They're very flawed.
Yes.
They're very human in their ways of, you know, they can be vain or selfish or make bad judgment choices.
I feel like, I don't know whether it's just, I know this is going more into gods than anything, but like, I feel like what you could say is like the Christian God, for example,
Yeah.
is whether you believe in him or not, it doesn't change his power.
Yes.
Whereas I think how you interpret, and I know they obviously delve into this in this story.
Yeah.
How you interpret the god very much depends on the power. If you give it power, it has power.
That's the thing. That's the thing with the Greek gods, isn't it? Is they needed people to pray and worship them.
Yeah.
To maintain their power, and that's kind of implied what the barber did by telling the stories and doing all that stuff, and that's why he feels so betrayed by them, because they only have the power they do because of him.
Yeah.
And then once he basically did his job so well, they realized they didn't need him anymore, and he saw that as obviously kind of not really fair. But yeah, this episode is fun. It's emotional. It's super creative.
Oh, I love
the cast.
I love the cast, and I love that the story wall.
Yeah.
It's so I love the animation they do in this as well for the stories on the story wall.
Yeah.
Some of them are only like quick little snippets.
And I like the barber as a character. I think he's really interesting.
And I like,
he's flawed but not irredeemable.
Yeah, I like at the end. I love the end of it because it's we get
Omo forgives him, and
Yeah.
it's kind of implied that Abena forgives him,
Yeah.
even if she doesn't necessarily say it.
and it's like you said, it's people are they're not happy with him, but they know he's made a mistake.
Yeah.
But they know that he's genuinely sorry, and they know the reason why he did what he did.
Yeah.
And it's not it's acceptable, but they're saying it's fair enough that you would have done this. Whereas, like, do you mean some of the villains we've had in the past? They're irredeemable.
Yeah. And just to kind of wrap up, I also think the whole I'm born, I die, I'm born thing
That is really creative.
is cool.
It
And
is
I
cool.
know it's kind of just another example of the Doctor being like, I'm the Doctor, check your records, I am the most dangerous, blah, 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 blah. It's just another one of those, but
I think
the way it ties into being a never-ending story, I think is really cool and creative.
I agree, but what I like about it as well is it's not like I am the Doctor and I am powerful. It's my kind. Any other Time Lord would be the same. Do you mean? I'm born, I die, I'm born again.
To be honest, I didn't even consider it like that. I thought it was less of I'm the Doctor, I'm super powerful, and you know everyone worships me, and it's more like no Time Lord has travelled as much as he has.
I mean, that is true.
So his
yeah.
whole thing of I die, I'm born. Sorry, I'm born, I die, I'm born. Is you are right in the sense of I guess every Time Lord can say that, but it means something significant for him.
Yeah.
Because how many adventures does he have in each of those lives?
That's true. But you could say similar with the Master. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's what I like. It's not just because in many other, carnations of the Doctor, or incarnations, it's very much being like, well, it's not the fact that I'm a Time Lord that is the reason why I'm powerful. It's because I am who I am.
Yeah.
Whereas this is kind of like, it's my story, but it's also the story of my people, and it is never ending because we have this ability. But yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into your mid three?
Yeah, sure. So my middle three are Joy to the World, Lucky Day, and Wish World.
Okay. Mine's slightly different, but we have some overlaps.
Well, to be honest, 2 from my middle you had in your top 3.
Yeah.
So
My 4th
yeah.
is The Well.
Okay.
Then it's Interstellar Song Contest.
Okay.
And then it's Lux.
Right. Okay.
Why are you confused?
I'm not confused. I'm just like...
I think, anyway. Lux and Interstellar
I feel
Contest.
like for Series 1 and Series 2, our lists were quite similar with the occasional changes. This list is very different for the two of us. So I'm just mentally trying to picture both lists at the same time. I'm trying to work out whether it's best to talk about an episode when which one of us say it. Do you know what I mean?
I'm kind of torn between Interstellar Song Contest and Lux.
Should we talk about Lux and The Well? Because I had them both in my top 3.
I want to know why you had Lux in your top 3. I know it was very creative. It was really interesting. But for me, the reason it's in the bottom of the mid is because I feel like I didn't like the what's it called, the meta things. I didn't like that, and I feel like it kind of fell short in some ways. I know we've spoken about this, and I wanted more animation. What put it in the top 3 for you?
This is not going to sound very very eloquent, but it just felt right. It's just one of those things. When I was looking at the list together, underneath it I had Joy to the World, and I'm like, I like Joy to the World a lot, but I don't know, I think I might have enjoyed Lux a little more. I don't know. Honestly, it depend on the day. Those two could flip. Because if you were to make a good argument for me right now, I could flip them. Because
this is the thing. What I felt with Lux, right, and this is a good thing for the episode, is I forgot the negative things.
Okay.
So I was like, oh yeah, I really like that one. That's the one with the animation.
I missed a ring.
And it was the one in the 60s. Oh, that was good. And then I thought about it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's the one where they're kind of stuck in a white room and they're, trying to jump out from the screen. And then
I think for me, it's not a perfect episode by any means, but I think costumes, Doctor's less so, but Belinda's costume's really good.
I agree.
I liked the diner sequence with, what's her name?
With the bum, yeah.
Yeah, the lady with the Jewish name, what's her name? Like Lowenstein or something like that, I can't remember. She, like, that whole sequence of them when they hold hands and he says, I promise I'll find you, boy. And it's, I love that whole thing, even if the teenager who works in the diner is a bit cringe.
He's a bit
much. I liked, what was his name? The projectionist.
I can't remember.
It doesn't matter, whatever his name is.
Do you find his story was a little bit... It was sweet, but not predictable, but kind of like...
Cliche, maybe?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but again, there's little moments like Belinda recognising he's a smoker because he's got these nicotine fingers.
I like that, yeah, but that's another example of Belinda being great and obviously kind of kicking into work mode. Mr.
Ring-a-Ding, I think, is... Obviously, Lux as an antagonist, taking the shape of Mr. Ring-a-Ding, I think Alan Cumming does a great job. I think his design is cool. The animation's great. I love his personality, how he's sinister, but at the same time, not really, because he's like... You're not scared of him, do you know what I mean, when you're watching it? But he is obviously a being of vast power.
Yeah.
So it's that weird thing of like, I should be scared of you, but I'm kind of not because of the way you conduct yourself.
You're kind of a goofball.
Yeah.
And therefore, that's when he's you're a lovable rogue.
Well, the Doctor's like, you're a living cartoon, and he's like, because he's a cartoon, he literally picks his tear out of his eye and throws it away. He's like, I'm all alone. There's no one like me.
Aww.
I don't know. Bits like that I really like. The more I think about it, the more I'm okay with the meta stuff. I'm not, because it didn't pay off in any way, shape or form. It just makes me annoyed. I'm kind of glad it didn't. And this is the thing. In some ways, I'm like, if it paid off in the finale in some way, then cool. But in some ways, I'm also happy to just leave it here because, again, being a god, Lux is capable of creating alternate realities. Do you know what I mean? If he could create a reality where everything looked the same, but the woman tells the cops or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like it's pretty close to our reality, but something's not quite right. If he can do that, then I can believe he can make this meta world where Doctor Who's a TV show.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's the same thing with Mrs. Flood.
I'd rather be isolated to this episode than have those three show up in the finale and they have to come together with the power of
Oh my God,
the Blu-ray box sets.
I would have thrown myself out of that cinema
I know you've
room.
not seen it, but it's like there's a bit in Spaceballs, right?
Okay.
For anyone who's not seen it, Spaceballs is like a spoof parody movie, kind of parodying like Star Wars and Star Trek and stuff. And there's a bit with the Empire looking for our heroes, and they don't know where they are. So they come up with the idea to put in the Spaceballs VHS. So they plan on putting in the VHS for the movie that they're in,
so they can
and
find
they try
out
to fast forward through it to find where they are.
Yeah.
But they end up at the point where they're watching Spaceballs the movie.
Yeah.
And then they turn around and look at the camera, and then it's happening like over multiple screens. And it's the thing, I can just imagine like this meta like moment where these characters are like they got to come together with the classic series like collection Blu-rays.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad it was kind of like isolated
I am glad
to
it
this
was.
episode.
I just wish it wasn't there.
Okay.
I'm glad it was isolated, but I would have been more glad if it just didn't happen.
I understand maybe wanting to be rid of it and spend more time with the animation.
Oh God, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I understand budgetary wise why they did it, but I would have loved more animation.
I enjoyed it for what it is, though.
It just didn't quite hit the mark for me. I think that's why it's in the mids.
That's fair. And the well.
The well.
Well. The well's it was just really good. I just really enjoyed it. It's not as good as Midnight.
No.
But it's as good as a sequel to an episode like Midnight could be.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I feel like The Well, Story in the Engine, and Wish World, for me, could jump around a lot.
Yeah.
Joy to the World is that top spot. Untouchable. Nothing's coming close to it for me.
Okay.
But those three, I think I really enjoyed and could watch.
I think not only was The Well good in terms of its like horror application, like Midnight, it's not quite as effective.
Yeah.
But I think it is scary. It is tension filled. I think what's her name?
Alice.
I think she's very good in it.
I agree.
Not only as this sympathetic kind of victim, but also how, even though she knows what's going on, she's very flawed as a human, and she pretends she doesn't know what's going on, and she immediately, first thing she says when they come in is, "Can you take me home?" She doesn't want to warn them about this. She just wants to see her kids again.
Which is fair.
Yeah, I think even if the effect of the people getting thrown into the air is a bit extreme, I think the whole like gimmick of the creature is really cool and creative. I think the resolution of tricking it through the reflection in the mercury is creative. I think the twist of thinking it's been dealt with, but then it shows 4 beings in the airlock is cool. What's her name? You said it earlier. The captain. Shire as a character I think was really interesting. There's that one soldier who was a bit of a douche.
Doesn't his name begin with C or something? I can't remember.
Can't remember off the top
I
of my
want to call him Colin, but that's not his name.
No.
But we're calling him that, Colin.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's just really well done, I think. There's not a lot to pick apart.
I agree.
I
feel like I did mention a couple of things I would have changed, but I can't remember it at this point. But I agree. It is strong.
Yeah.
Do you want to go into the worst 3? Because I have a feeling that Interstellar Song Contest is going to be in your worst 3.
It is. It's the best of my worst 3.
Oh.
The Interstellar Song Contest, the Robot Revolution, and the Reality War.
Oh.
Are my bottom 3.
Interesting.
Look at me.
See, I'm kind of stuck between my bottom. So the best of my worst is Robot Revolution.
Okay.
And then I'm stuck between 2. And I can't decide which one I hate.
And it's Lucky Day in Reality War.
It is, yes. I can't decide which one I dislike the most.
I see. Here's the thing. Like I said earlier, there are good moments in both.
I feel like for me,
There are good moments in both. There are not so great moments in both. I feel like Lucky Day is going to hold up better on a rewatch.
I agree. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stick Lucky Day above Reality War because Lucky Day, we got more Ruby. I enjoyed. I would say it's a good episode, not a great episode. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And Reality War just completely and utterly let me down.
That's fair enough. I think...
In ways that it hasn't, by the sounds of it, didn't let others down. Maybe I'm nitpicky. I am nitpicky. I'm going to say I am. But I don't know. It just didn't feel... It didn't feel right.
So, Lucky Day, I like conceptually. I know we talked about this in our episode of it, but it was kind of like another go at Love and Monsters.
Yeah.
In terms of having a character who's not linked with the Doctor kind of follow him.
Yeah.
And I like, obviously, because we got so used to seeing the Doctor and Belinda travel together, having that kind of flashback scene of the Doctor and Ruby, which is kind of implied to take place between Devil's Cord and Boom.
Yeah.
I think is really cool. And it's not something you expect. So yeah, and I think before the reveal, when you just think Conrad's just this kind of nice guy podcaster, I thought it was just another way of going about this Love and Monsters kind of idea. His relationship with Ruby was interesting because again, I thought it was gonna. You and I both kind of thought the same thing. We kind of saw something.
It wasn't quite right.
Going on with their relationship, like he was hiding something, but I think we were both on the same page here, thinking it was going to be more about his desire to find the Doctor, maybe verging on an obsession.
Yeah. Than him trying to bring down Unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in that degree, I feel like what we thought was going to happen maybe would have been more interesting.
Possibly. I know it's kind of been done a little bit before. I like the fact that it was something that subverted my expectations. I just think they went a little bit over the top and a bit on the nose with it.
Yeah.
There was no subtlety in this.
I know once the flip happens and Conrad shows his true colours, I know there are people like this out there, but he was maybe a bit comically villainous to a degree that I'm like, I don't believe anyone could be this way and not be that self-aware.
And what I don't understand is, this is the issue I have Reality War, and this is why it's at the bottom. Characters are so different in the last episode.
I know
Belinda's completely different. Conrad has like a more humane side to him.
I know what you mean. I know it's kind of implied in Reality War that Conrad's kind of a bit smitten with the Rani, but yeah, he behaves more like he does in Lucky Day before the twist than he does afterwards.
And that whole thing was like, do you mean he was so like venomous before towards Ruby, but he wasn't that way, and he was quite quiet. And even when he I mean, first,
obviously, he presents very nice when he's reading the story on the telly.
Yeah.
First time we see him where he's actually not doing that, he hugs Mrs. Flood.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm really tired. I hope I'm doing a good job.
Yeah,
and then
Ruby, he holds a baby.
I know that's in Wish World, but Ruby has that thing with him as well, where she's like, thank you for it being a nice world. It's not a nice world, but it could have been
Conrad's
worse.
world could have been so much worse. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, well, all the Doctor said is people wanted to be warm and fed and happy.
Yeah.
So that's what I made them.
Yeah.
And it's like, that doesn't feel... I know I'm assuming they're trying to add more dimension to this character, but it just felt out of nowhere.
I know what you mean, yeah. That's
left him, he was evil.
It wouldn't have been that bad if he wasn't as comically villainous as he was. And that's the thing. In Lucky Day, once the tables flip and he's now the bad guy... Like I say, he's again. This is where I feel a bit weird about it because I know there are some crazy people out there in real life. You're Andrew Tates of the world. Where you're like, how do you look at yourself in the mirror and not realize that you're a villain?
Yeah,
like there are people like that, but there is a degree of like, I don't know, the way he like looks at Shirley, and says like, oh, this one's claiming benefits or whatever, and it's like. That's just a dick thing to say. Do you know what I mean? That's not something like, oh, Unit are lying to us. We know his whole agenda is he's trying to get vengeance because they didn't employ him.
Yeah.
But it's like, the fact that he's that ignorant, he either honestly believes that, in which case he's just crazy, or it's just another way of turning the tables against them, which makes him very, very spiteful.
Yes.
Which, okay, fine, if that's an element to his character, but that's not, you're right, that's not how he's then portrayed in the finale.
No.
He's portrayed a lot more, not sympathetic, but a lot more humanized and a lot more...
I know you could argue, because we learned that, obviously... He's kind of been creating the world on repeat.
Yeah,
for a long
it's the same
time.
day looping, yeah.
So you could argue he's at a point where he's exhausted. And he even says, like, he's tired. It's been a long time since I've seen you. So maybe he's going mad inside that room. But I think it would have made more sense if the Doctor had had his speech towards Conrad in Lucky Day. And then, because Conrad snaps back at him, doesn't he? And he's like, put me back in my room. Like, I don't accept your reality.
Yeah.
If that hadn't been the case, I'm not saying that I don't want that, because I think it's very true of his character to kind of snap back at the Doctor.
Yeah.
But if that hadn't been the case, he'd been put in his cell, and then some time after, then he'd been taken out by Mrs. Flood. You could argue that he probably would have had time to reflect a little bit.
While he was in jail, yeah.
Yeah, and think on that. But because he was freed instantly...
Yeah,
his character shouldn't have changed that much.
And that's what I mean. I feel like the way he's portrayed in the finale is more interesting than the way he's portrayed in Lucky Day.
I agree.
At least once he kind of does the switch. But yeah, the main critique that I would agree is that they don't really match up. They're not consistent.
He
seems like he was made to be more, again, not sympathetic, but a bit more understandable, a bit more relatable, maybe a bit more. Just human and a bit less just venomous.
But I think, I don't know whether that's the whole point, because obviously people are, well...
Listen,
even, do you mean, I can imagine even Andrew Tate, as heinous as he is, do you mean, I can't, his online not profile, but like showing and being and how he's like, women need to know their place. I can't imagine he's like that all the time offline, because that must be completely draining. I feel like he ramps it up more for the camera to get more views, to get more hype.
I think in terms of Doctor Who, I think, in the Reality War, when the Doctor says, we're facing the unholy trinity, and he says, like, God of Wishes, Crazy Time Lady, Conrad Clark.
Yeah.
That doesn't... Describing Conrad that way doesn't feel fair, given on how he's portrayed in the episode alone.
Yeah.
You only if Conrad acted the way he did in Unit Tower, fair enough.
Yeah.
But the way if you hadn't watched Lucky Day and you just watched Wishworld Reality War, you'd be like, Conrad's not that bad.
He's just
guy that wanted the world to be better.
Yeah. He just
I know that's meant to be his perspective, but like, yeah, they didn't really show that.
No, I agree. He didn't have that, as you say, evil side to him. It didn't show as much, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fact that he's
it makes the Doctor's words sound harsh.
The fact that, do you mean, you'd think he might be cold towards Desiderium, maybe. But, when Mrs. Flood's like, how's the baby? And he's like, yeah, he's good. He sustains all this world all by himself.
Yeah.
He's like quite softly spoken, and it's...
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. If he treated Desiderium as more of a tool and less of a child. Yeah. Maybe.
I know he says, obviously, he's petrifying. He's scared of this baby. Yeah. But, yeah, he just seems... I don't know. They seem like two different people.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So, yeah, I think that's why...
Let's talk about the robot revolution.
Yeah, sure.
So, sorry. I just, yeah. So, I had a moment there. Yeah, the robot revolution... I like the robot revolution.
I do as well.
It falls here purely by default.
I agree. I think it's not a bad episode, but it is a filler.
I don't know if it's filler. It's the opener.
It is. Yeah, it's an opener. Well, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The openers are always like this.
Yeah, because it's like it's very on the nose.
If you think of your very favourite season of Doctor Who, unless that season is Series 5...
I was going to say, yeah.
The opener is, at best, pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you know what I mean? Like series like Smith and Jones is pretty good. Do you know what I mean? But like there's no season other than the 11th hour in series 5. I don't think there is a series opener that's like amazing off the get-go. So, you know, the Robot Revolution just being a bit of fluff, it's fine. Like I say, I like it. It's not amazing. I think it's an average episode in reality. It's like a 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
But
it's got polish in it.
It does have polish in it. But it's purely here in my bottom 3 by default.
I agree.
Because
and I feel bad
else...
for it because the ones underneath it, like I wish I could have put it into the mid category because that's where it really deserves to be.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 can stay there.
But that's I feel like that's a testament to this season, though.
I agree.
The fact that an episode that's all right is pretty good is technically my second least favourite.
Well, that's the thing, and that's what I've said about Lucky Day being towards the bottom. I don't think it's a bad episode. It's just really not for me.
Yeah.
The only one I think is genuinely bad is Reality War. But
I do wonder, having now finished the season, which of these episodes will hold up best to rewatchers. Because I think there's moments like in the Robot Revolution when the Doctor talks to Belinda and he says, "Oh, he told me about you."
Yeah.
And obviously that question initially is, who's he? Who's this person? Which we learn to be Conrad at the end of Lucky Day. That's probably going to be quite fun, I think, on a rewatch. But in terms of like the whole like owl AI generator thing, I wonder how compelling that's going to be on a rewatch.
Probably not as much.
Again, the whole thing of like young Belinda and Al on that park bench. I don't know. There's a part of me now that's not really going to understand this timeline that much because who we thought Belinda wasn't true. Because Poppy was apparently a child the whole time, so she wasn't. Because in the Robot Revolution, she's like living in a flat share. Do you know what I mean? She's living with other people. There's that whole thing in there about the fridge and, you know, who's eating my granola or whatever it is.
Yeah.
When in reality, she was living in a house and she's separated and she's a single mother.
Well, I think that house was her parents' house that they see at the end. I don't think that's hers. I think that's her parents'.
Was it?
Yeah, and she needed to be back at her parents' at 7 o'clock to pick up Poppy.
Right.
I think.
Okay.
One thing I am very interested about is, I don't know whether this was meant to be the case, is how much like Belinda having a child and that link is actually brought up in the episodes.
Yeah, do you know what? I wish that flashback kind of bit in the Reality War, you know, like when she's injured in the well and she's like, am I going to see my daughter again? I wish there were more moments like that were actually in the episodes.
Yeah.
Where maybe you didn't necessarily pick up on it at the time, but after the reveal, you'll watch it now and you'll be like, oh, that's what that is. Yeah. But obviously those are just moments that weren't actually there because reality had changed. Because
this is one thing I was thinking about, only because after watching, I did the little rewatch of The Well, getting my questions.
Yeah.
Obviously, Alice says that she really wants to get home to go see her daughter, who's currently with her grandfather.
Right.
And that is the same thing Belinda. Poppy is currently at her parents'.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there's many links like that. Maybe that's why that's why Belinda is more understanding.
Maybe that's the link. Do you remember we were talking about the hell poppies?
Yeah.
When we were talking about, I wonder if there's a reference to a poppy every episode. Maybe like even that counts. It's not name dropping Poppy individually,
but it's like.
But it's a reference to that arc. Yeah.
And I do wonder if there are many things like that.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Yeah, and if we look at the Interstellar Song Contest, because I think that's the only one we've not covered.
Yeah, I think so.
Interstellar Song Contest.
I mean, that's quite high up for me. Not really high, but...
It's the highest of my bottom 3. And I think this is one of those episodes, it's a fine episode with moments I like. And that's where I'm at with it. The plot is... it's fine.
I like the setting.
Setting is cool. There are some great shots. I love when the bubble bursts and everyone gets sucked up and you get that shot of all the bodies flying out and it just kind of cuts to silence. That's like a great shot. Rylan was good in it.
Yeah.
Which surprised me. I think... what are their names?
Kit.
No, not Kit. No,
You're on about
the
Gary and Mike?
Yeah, that's it. Gary and Mike, thank you. I liked them as a couple.
I did as well.
I liked their relationship with each other, and I liked how they both kind of had a thing for the Doctor, but it never actually got in the way of their relationship.
Yeah. It was kind of like a cheeky banter.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I don't think they genuinely were like had the massive hots for the Doctor, but it was kind of like.
There is a moment where they both go, "I would do anything for you."
Yeah, but do you know what I mean? Like, I think lots of people will probably say something like that.
Yeah,
but I think.
Yeah, I think the weakest part is the antagonists. I think
I agree.
Kid and the girl whose name I can't remember.
Yeah.
I feel like they're just whatever. There's that interesting moment, like say, where the Doctor's doing the torture, which I thought, oh, this is interesting. This is going to pay off in some way. Obviously, now knowing it doesn't, that's probably going to feel out of place.
I agree.
It's not going to feel like, oh, this is interesting. It's going to feel like
especially
this didn't lead
because
to anything.
that episode leads to Wish World.
Yeah.
And Wish World just throws you into it.
Okay, do you remember the Interstellar Song Contest ends with the TARDIS doors exploding?
Yeah.
What was that about?
Fuck yeah. What was that about?
Don't know. Do you know what I mean? It's just
But saying that though, that could have been, I don't know. That could have been the explosion because the TARDIS obviously gets taken away and they're just placed into it, aren't they?
Who's they?
Like Belinda and the Doctor. They just wake up in the bed.
Into the Wish, you mean?
Into the Wish.
Not the TARDIS.
Not the TARDIS. But the TARDIS is then...
Yeah, because the TARDIS is where Conrad is, obviously. So, like, the Rani gets her hands on the TARDIS somehow. But, like, yeah, that whole, like, explosion.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Like, sure, okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's another thing that's going to annoy me. Oh. No.
Yeah, I don't know, like, say, the Interstellar Song Contest, it's where we got the reveal of Mrs. Flood.
Yeah.
Even if it is a post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's when we started getting the Susan flashbacks. A lot of interesting stuff going on. Unfortunately, none of it pays off. Again, I think the strongest thing is its directing and the setting.
I agree.
Are the big things.
Really
and Dugadoo.
Beloved Dugadoo.
But
and I like the idea of I know it's been done like a million times, but I like the idea of the Hellions and, you know,
the oppressed people being,
you know, a corporation has taken over
for the minerals or for the resources they have.
I mean,
it's Avatar.
It's been done a million times,
Yeah.
but I don't mind that. But I wish they'd gone into it a little bit more. I know they had a lot to juggle.
You run the risk, though, don't you? If you go into it too much, then it verges on being like Pocahontas or Avatar. And if you don't go into it enough, it verges on just being Die Hard. So it's like, it's got a lot of cool, interesting moments in it. But if I'm honest, the actual episode itself, the story of the contest and the terrorists that come in and take over, it's fine.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's them all.
Yeah. So, I guess have our overall thoughts and wrap up.
Yeah, like I said, I feel like we've been pretty like in depth about it. Yeah, season 2, I'm just gonna kind of cap off. I've already said it, but I think it's better than season 1. I've enjoyed it a lot. I think it's probably my favourite since series 10.
Oh.
Not saying much. I say I like it more than season 1, and I like it more than all of the Chibnall series.
Yeah.
So I don't even think that's necessarily much of a hot take, but
No.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. I don't think there's a bad episode in here, even
Yeah.
if there are moments that I don't like. Yeah, I like it. Shooty, great. Belinda, great. Ruby, great. I like that we got some creative villains through Lux and the Barber.
I wish they just capped it off a bit better.
Yeah. But I feel like that's normally the case. I know people always make jokes at Russell's expense, being like, Russell writes a series of bangers and then whips the finale all the time. But to be fair, I don't think that's just a Russell problem. Because again, Russell, with the exception of the series 3 finale, with obviously the whole master Tweety Pie Doctor thing.
I love the fact that I call it the Tweety Pie Doctor, and now that is something you're throwing.
That's your frame of reference, right? Yeah,
the Tweety Pie Doctor.
I think series 1, series 2, and series 4 all have good finales. So I don't think this thing about Russell whiffing finales is a consistent thing. I think obviously it clearly has been now for these last two, but I don't think that was a thing really prior to his return.
I disagree. I strongly disagree.
That's fair enough. I don't think Moffat did much better. With the exception of series 10, which, fair play, some of the best Doctor Who ever, with World Enough and Time When the Doctor Falls.
That was genuinely brilliant.
And again, I guess it depends on if you count Heaven Sent and Hellbent as a two-parter or if you separate them. But, but even looking at, The Big Bang and The Wedding of River Song and The Name of the Doctor, they're not great.
I mean, I like The Name of the Doctor. Wedding of River Song, I don't think that's as good. I prefer season... I'm trying to think what season 7's ending.
That's The Name of the Doctor.
Yeah, more than I prefer season 6.
I think that's most people. Yeah, I think most people think that way because again, The Wedding of River Song is bad.
It's not bad.
It's not good. It's the same thing though. I know we drew this comparison when we covered it, but it's very similar to Wish World and the Reality War, where you're kind of thrown into this world where everything's off for some reason. Everything's slightly different, and you don't have any context as to why or how, but you just have to strap in and see what happens. Except I feel like the stuff we got out of the Reality War, even though it had things that I didn't like, Billy Piper.
No.
I don't have anything against Billy Piper, but that did not need to happen. But what we got that I liked in this, was a lot more than the things I liked in The Wedding of River Song. There's not really one thing in that story where I'm like, I love this.
I don't know. I feel like I feel less strongly about The Wedding of River Song, and therefore that is a better thing for me because I'm really unhappy about the ending of this. Not, and when I mean the ending, I don't mean Billy Piper because I'm on board for that. I'm open, like I said before. Just do it right. Whatever you do it right, and I'm open. I can't wait to see what is done. I'm sure it'll be interesting. However, please in future wrap up your season finales better. Answer some questions. Stop making questions before you've answered some. Do you know what I mean?
I feel like that's Moffat's MO.
Yeah, but no. Shut up.
It took him 10 years to wrap up River Song's story.
Yeah, but that's good.
Okay.
In the best way. Do you know what I mean? I feel like...
Let's not get into this.
I like that because I feel like it takes time for you to wrap up that story, whereas this felt like... It's not like, oh, wait till next season. It's not like a teaser of this will come next season. It just feels like things have been forgotten.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And I do get that with certain things, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
I've said my thoughts. What's your piece on season 2?
I'm quite conflicted, as always. Always on the fence. There's a lot of things I really like. A couple of things I don't like as much. I can't decide whether I like it more than season 1.
I think the episodes in season 1 that I saw as middling, you liked more.
Yeah.
Like Rogue.
I love Rogue.
There were bits in Rogue I liked, but I don't look at that as a great episode.
Yeah.
Where
I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah, you're closer to loving it than I am.
I didn't enjoy the villains.
In season 1?
Yeah.
Maestro.
Well, I didn't know. No, I meant maybe mainly in Rogue, but the...
Oh, sorry, right, okay. What are they called? The Chuldra?
Or something like that.
I don't know. The cosplay owls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even then, I don't think I'd come to Doctor Who for the villains and the monsters. I'm excited when they're good. But
10 million Daleks just looked at you.
But the most of the time, sorry Daleks, they're kind of shit. They're kind of shit.
Unless you're talking about the one in Dalek.
They're very, very, very rarely done well. And I expect that.
That's fair. That's
I'm
why
just
I feel
looking
like
for the story in between the madness.
That's why I'm hoping they'll have more impact when they come back, and maybe they'll actually have some presence.
Yeah, make them scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, so generally, I'm a bit conflicted. I generally have positive feelings about this season.
Good.
Again, sad that we're losing Shooty, but I'll definitely watch this season again. I'll definitely watch Joy to the World again.
Yeah.
I hope that Moffat comes back and writes some more Christmas specials. You know, because I know he doesn't want to really. Not that he doesn't want to, but he's kind of like pulling away from doing Doctor Who writing.
Now, isn't he? Yeah.
But I wish now and again he'll come back and kind of sprinkle a little bit of magic.
I'm sure it wouldn't take much convincing to get him to come back and do a one-off every now and again.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else?
I think that's pretty much it. I think that's pretty much what I've got to say about the season.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, just a final cap, even though I've said it a million times, looking forward, but cautiously, to what comes next.
May we always think
I'm
that.
reaching out a hand, dubiously. I hope they take it. I hope they hold my hand.
Yeah. Do you want to wrap up?
Yeah, sure. I'll probably flunk this. I usually do. Thank you for listening.
Yes.
And if you've been listening along to the podcast throughout this, thank you for joining us on the journey. If you have any opinions that you'd like to share them down below. Tell us how you felt. Again, if you do like Doctor Who, make it known in the universe. Let's try and keep this thing
Best thing
running.
you can do to keep it running is to support it and show
Yeah.
your support for it. Because God knows there are so many haters and former fans out there that lambast it for being too woke or for being
let's be
creatively bankrupt
It's
or
a lot
whatever.
There's a lot of fans that do that. So
That's what I mean.
Let
So it's
alone
like,
that
if you
former
enjoyed
fans.
this, be vocal about it.
yeah, do you mean, I don't know, watch it on BBC iPlayer or Disney Plus or
Yeah.
follow the Instagram or TikTok or whatever.
Yeah, contribute to the
hype a little bit.
to the viewing figures and interact with it on socials.
Yeah.
Things like that. Let us know in relation to this episode of our pod specifically. Obviously, let us know how you did in the quiz.
Yeah.
Let us know what your rankings are. Which story was your favourite? What was your least favourite? And yeah,
Yeah.
I don't really.
That's about it. If you like this, you can subscribe, I guess.
Don't sound too enthusiastic.
I forget what you can do. You can subscribe.
You can subscribe. You can hit that fat red subscribe button.
Oh, don't
He is fat. He's fat on the like button.
don't speak about his size.
Click that subscribe button to keep up with everything that we're doing over here on YouTube. You can also find us over on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, on YouTube Music, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Don't forget to, I don't know, like it, I guess.
Sure.
If that's something you feel so inclined to do, leave a lovely comment for Charlotte. And thank you all very much for listening. I guess we'll see you next time where, we're going to have a bit of a break for about a week. And then we'll be back with The Runaway Bride.
Yeah. So
Jumping back to Series 3. Mm-hmm. But until then, everybody, thank you very much for listening. We appreciate you as always. Stay safe. And stay away from... Go on,
the
Sean.
haters.
Yeah.
And
Words to live by.
stay away from the haters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much for listening. And goodbye.
Bye.